Welcome to a new episode of Three the Hallway. I'm Tariq Rashad here with Married Man Rob. Happy anniversary, my brother.
Shout out to my wife Nelly. We made it 1 year officially on Monday. So just want to give her a huge shout out to love my wife and help me become who I am today.
No doubt. Shout out to Nelly Rodriguez, my good friend. And hey, man, we back. We're a little short. John is actually celebrating out in the Dominican Republic right now. I'm gonna roll a lot of R's today. I don't know why, but John is out Dominican Republic. He's on vacation. He'll be back with us next week. But me and Rob too deep. We all we got. But today, that's all we need. We're gonna get into it. Talk some basketball. And our next segment, if you want to talk about some football, our next segment will be on some football. So just go on over to that link as soon as this is done. Check that out. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. That's 3THW podcast on YouTube. 3THW on Instagram. Same thing on Twitter, Facebook. Like, subscribe, follow, converse with us. We are sports fans just like everybody else. We just want to talk about it a little bit more than some people. So
yeah.
That being said, let's get into it, man. Team USA officially 1-1. Lost the first game to France, and earlier today they dealt with Iran, so they're 1-1 in their Group B. Not preliminaries, but in their state in this, what is this called? The group setting. Okay. So before they go into the round of 16, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go into a round of 16. So, man, Team USA, man, what's happening? Is 1-1 a bad thing? They struggled kind of in Vegas. They didn't deal with the competition in Vegas, and now we're here and they're 1-1. As Americans, should we be worried that we're not bringing home the gold this year?
Listen, man, the game against France told me and showed me kind of what I had speculated earlier in the year. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be a walk in the park. And I do think we have some room for growth and I'm a little scared for Team USA, man. I got to be honest with you, dog. Like, and it's just like a matter of fit for each other. When I look at this team, I see a bunch of like all NBA talent, right? We have like all-stars up and down the roster. We have people who individually are great players, but sometimes the parts of the whole don't equal great. Sometimes like we can have all the great players in the world and it still doesn't make a good team. All right. And what I saw in that France game wasn't a good team. It was a team of exactly what they are, superstars looking to get their own and nobody really looking to set each other up and make each other's lives easier so we could collectively have one of those some of the parts greater than the whole moments. So I'm really scared going into it. We did end up beating Iran by like 50 points, so that's a good sign. But that loss to France scared me a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean, let's be tough. France is one of the tougher teams in this tournament. I mean, I'm expecting France to be not a powerhouse, but to be in it when it's all said and when we start talking Final Eight and things of that scenario, trying to place for a medal. With that being said, I'm sticking to my guns in the situation that Team USA should not be in this situation. I agree with you, Rob. Sometimes the sum doesn't equal the whole, and you can have a ton of amazing talent, but if they don't know how to work together as a team, they won't succeed. But I'm looking at this team, and we got multiple guys that's either been to the finals or won a finals. There's now at this point, there's only 5 players on half of this team. More than half of this team has played in the finals. So the magnitude of what they're doing here, I mean, and I don't want to say they chase LeBron because I don't think people are mirroring their careers behind LeBron and Kobe and saying I have to catch this guy to be where I want to be. But I mean, if you're chasing greatness in the NBA, you got to catch 5, 6 championships. You got to almost have a dynasty. Chris Middleton, Giannis is on that journey. Draymond Green, who's on this team, Kevin Durant, most importantly, who's on this team, is chasing that top 10 legacy journey right now. Bron, Kobe, Jordan, those guys also have a Team USA gold medal on their mantle as well. And I just want to see Team USA take more pride in what they're doing, be more happy about what they're doing, and really own it, want it. It's not a foregone conclusion as we've seen with France, but as we've seen with Iran, it's the NBA. It's 12 NBA. It's 12, 11 NBA, 10 NBA stars, and 2 more NBA players. So we should be looking at W's. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna kick it back to you. I've noticed something that I watched the video of the fake KD Happy Birthday song.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kevin. Happy birthday to you.
And I've watched some video. We had the Bam Adebayo and KD. You took my rock after I made the ball. No, Dame took your rock. Do you think that part of this camaraderie, part of the chemistry is that these guys aren't having as much fun? They're not as tight-knit as, say, a Banana Boat Crew or, say, the Dream Team where they're gambling every night, and the Banana Boat Crew are really tight-knit. Kobe, LeBron, Chris Paul, D-Wade, Carmelo, those guys are really tight-knit group. Do you think that the fact that these guys actually aren't that tight-knit of a group, and it doesn't seem like they're building that type of friendship chemistry, do you think that plays a part in it?
I don't think the fact that they're not like best friends plays a huge part in it. I would say that when I look at the Dream Team, or I look at like the Kobe, LeBron, Melo, D Wade, Chris Paul, Darren Williams teams, like they had a player who literally like they just wanted to have fun on the court, and their version of fun was throwing alley oops, was setting other people up, was really being a floor general. You look at like Magic Johnson,
Okay.
right? He was, you know what I mean? You look at Chris Paul, you look at LeBron, who's a natural facilitator, who just calling a spade, he's a natural player that likes to defer to other people who are great, especially if he has the ability to do so. But when I look at this team, it's like Draymond Green, who can play that role, but like he's not the primary ball handler, right? You can't. He's not. His job is not to play point guard, right? His job is defense and doing all the dirty work. And aside from him, it's like who else on this team can average 10 assists and be happy with it? And I don't think there's a single soul on this team that can really do that. So I think that goes into the fact that, they don't have someone who's just like, yeah, man, do your thing, KD. Like, I don't care if I score 2 points tonight. As long as I get whatever, everyone's happy. I throw oops, I play hard defense. I'll set people up, set off ball screens, whatever the case may be, right? I'll do my thing by getting y'all involved. That'll bring that cohesiveness, and I just don't see that on this team. When I saw the game against France, particularly, like the 2 best players on my team, in my opinion, that played the best were really Draymond Green and Drew Holiday, and I can't consider them two really true facilitators. So I think it's more of a personnel issue, as opposed to like a friendship issue. Because I think like Devin Booker and like Tatum and all these guys, like they're pretty cool with each other off the court. But I don't think there's somebody on the court that'll really make everything gel for them.
You hit on a few points. No one really there that's consistently committed to getting 10 assists and getting everyone involved. On the other end of the spectrum, do you think that it shouldn't matter because you have scorers like Devin Booker, who's giving you 70 in a game, Kevin Durant, who's arguably the best scorer of all time, but definitely the best scorer of his tutelage right now. You know, Jeremy Grant, who just came off of a 24-point game season. Devin Book, not Devin Book. I said Devin Booker. Zach LaVine, who has some 40, 50-point games under his belt. Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum. These are guys that take and make a lot of tough shots, and they create their own tough shots as well. So do you think that the other end of the spectrum is because you don't have that facilitator, too many guys just naturally want to go one-on-one, and that's hurting them?
Yeah, I think the fact that we don't have a facilitator on our team does hurt us. When I looked at that game, it was like it wasn't like any. And I know Greg Popovich is like the king of ball movement and body movement as opposed to one-on-one isolation, but like and they don't like him. So I do think there's a change there. Just anytime the players just aren't listening to or being receptive to the coach, like then you kind of need to make a change just because like that'll help. But I do think that like because we don't have a Chris Paul, or a Mike Conley, a Kyle Lowry, or anybody, or John Morant, Trae Young, whoever the case may be, somebody who's like, I just want to win, and I don't care if I drop 20 or 2. I think it hurts us. Like I see a bunch of, all right, it's my turn to go get a bucket, or we swing it, and it's like we really should make that extra pass to make it a good shot to a great shot, but it's Zach LaVine on a good shot, so he's like, I'm open right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I gotta keep going.
Right. I this is my chance to show the world that I'm up there with the Melos and all that. But like when you look at when Melo would drop buckets, he would only have 30 points. Like, and that was a great right. And that was a great game.
Melo, I think Melo is our all-time scorer in the Olympics, correct? I think he averages like 19. He averages. So here's my last question on this subject to you. And you mentioned it with the rumblings with not really liking the Greg Popovich system. And I read something saying that Greg Popovich is trying to run this team like it's San Antonio. And it made me think, you know, Greg, even with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, I mean, they would have their nights, but those are not guys outside of Tim Duncan. Those are not guys that would give you consistently 25 points a game. And I say 25 over 20 because we're looking at 25-point scorers. We're looking at 5-6 guys on this team that was either a point away or have averaged 25 in their career at one point. So when I look at even Kawhi Leonard didn't put up those type of numbers with San Antonio. So can this team win running? Is it the coaching? You know, because should Greg be making the adjustments to the players, or should these players be making the adjustments to how they're trying to be coached these Olympics?
That's a really good question. At the end of the day, the players are the one who's going to shoot the shots and play the defense, right? I'm a firm believer that as a coach, you have to adjust your philosophy to fit your personnel. So with that being said, and it's also like your approach to how you're communicating your message to the players. Like if you have a team full of ISO-driven ball players, you have to find a way to not only implement that into your attack, but also find a way to get these guys to play defense, because at the end of the day, ISO players want to score. And if you play defense and you play swarming defense, you're going to get easy buckets in transition. So like, as opposed to Kevin Durant getting 10 points on 8 shots, he can get 9 points on 2 shots just because he got transition threes and things of that nature. Like, or, you know, instead of for him getting 30 points in a night, he can get 17 but Adebayo gets 12, while Tatum gets 15, while Holiday has 6 and 6 steals or something like that. And like it feels like everyone's contributing. So I do think that he should adjust his approach to not only make it a little bit more easier for them to play their style of basketball, right? Because like that's the team that you have, and that's the team you selected. You could have selected other players. Like you easily could have selected someone else. You picked up Keldon Johnson because you thought that he could fit your system. So I think Popovich needs to adjust his system a little bit just to make it a little bit more like pick and roll, one on one with some off ball movement, things of that nature, rather than just pass cut, pass cut.
Right, right. I agree with you. Let's slide over to another subject. Just come back into the states right quick. NBA Finals is over. We spoke about that before. Giannis and the Bucks winning six. Bucks in six. Bucks in six. Shout out,
Brandon Jennings, man.
right? Shout out Brandon Jennings. Just want to talk briefly a little bit about where this championship, because I've seen this question in a few places, where this championship lies in the listing of championships and what that list is that you're talking about over the last 30 years, and what this championship means for Giannis moving forward.
Listen, the great American sports analyst Jalen Rose said it best. Not all championships are created equally, and to me, this is a prime example of that. And I hate to do it because it's going to seem like we give Kevin Durant a lot of we don't give him the quite easy love and respect that other people would, especially you and myself. But like when you look at a championship, and I don't care how he did it, like as far as his road to get in there, when you look at his championship and having his second best player be Chris Middleton, who was a second round draft pick, who was in the G League, who worked his way up to become where he is, to
Like Giannis, who was a bench dweller when he first came out, right? We continue.
Right. When you look at that, and then you look at somebody like Drew Holiday, who's been a one-time All-Star, who hasn't been to the playoffs in the previous seasons. And he's been in Philly, but like he hasn't been since then. I don't think
He hasn't been in the playoffs for at least 5-6 years.
Right. So like when you look at that, you look at his supporting cast, and you see the fact that he still won a championship. That's something that to me is legendary. I think this is one of the one-off situations where it's like someone can lead their team to a championship without joining a super team, which has been accustomed to what we've been seeing lately in modern history in the NBA. And to me, I rank this up there with the Dirk Nowitzki's, with the Detroit Pistons, with like teams of that nature. And I respect this championship more than I respected LeBron in Miami, more than I respect Kevin Durant and Golden State. Like it to me, it just says a lot about his character, a lot about how he approaches the game, and like it's a big thing to be loyal. So I think it's one of the, in modern history, last 30 years, as we like to say, I would say I definitely give it a top 10 spot.
You touched on so many things there that I want to comment on. Starting with the fact, like, to me, I agree. Like, this championship didn't have that I bought this championship team feel. And no disrespect to previous championship teams. I mean, sometimes you get so close when you just need a piece. And if there's a huge piece on the board, again, I always tell people I don't really fault Golden State for grabbing Kevin Durant. I more or less fault Kevin Durant for going there, because if you're that's what a team should do if you're a piece away. And let's be real, Golden State they were in the finals 2 years before, and they were in the finals 2 years before, and they were knocking on the door against the Spurs the years before that. But in this situation, I think that this is the best matchup in the finals, the most even matchup, which makes it the best matchup. It makes it the most enjoyable basketball. To me, there was no true favorite. There was no true underdog in these finals. And it hasn't been like that, in my opinion, since the 2006 D Wade versus Dirk Nowitzki championship. The first Miami versus Dallas championship. And it was refreshing, was it not? It was refreshing. To watch Giannis, someone that's worked very hard for a while now. He's been in the league over 5 years, 7, 8 years working hard. And then on the other end, someone like Chris Paul or even Devin Booker, who hadn't been to the playoffs. We talk star. We've been talking star about Devin Booker since before the 70-point loss to Boston 3-4 years back. And it's only the star power of Devin Booker has only grown since then. So for him to make it to the finals in his first playoff appearance was legendary in my sense, in my opinion. With that being said, Rob, it was the best matchup, but there's this Dragon Slayer thing that comes, and I don't know if that's just our generation because we got dynasty followed by dynasty because we grew up off the back end of Jordan straight into Kobe and Shaq. A little bit later, we have the every other year dynasty of San Antonio, followed by Miami, and then followed by let's say LeBron when you say Miami, and then Golden State. So that's been our basketball. That's what we've watched basketball wise. So this year I didn't see any giant slaying, and that takes away from the giant slaying or giant triumph, and that took away from where it would rank as notable championships. I'm not trying to take anything away from Giannis. I'm not trying to take anything away from Chris Middleton, but it would be so much better if you could say we beat Kevin Durant in the championship, not in the second round, which will get lost throughout. Which will get lost throughout the years. We beat LeBron in the championship. We beat the defending champions, things of that nature. Or we held it down after losing 2 players after winning the championship. So to me, for Giannis, this puts him on the map. And it's a good time to be on the map. He's smack dab in the middle of his prime. He's only getting stronger. We all see that there's so much more that his game can. He still has options. Do I want to develop an outside game? Do I want to develop a back to the basket game? Do I want to continue to Russell Westbrook and LeBron James it down your throat until my legs die and I have to figure out another game? Like, he has options offensively. And so for me, next year, when the target's on his back, when the target's on Chris Middleton's back, Chris Middleton is no longer, and I know that there's going to be video from 2 years ago, me saying, I don't trust Chris Middleton. And we can go through the show tutelage and how I slowly started to trust Chris Middleton to the point where I was saying on Twitter, Chris Middleton's going to lead the finals in points per game this year with Devin Booker, with Giannis Antetokounmpo, with Chris Paul. I still believe in Chris Middleton, and he ended up coming in third. So that's not bad. Anyway, next year, to me, really, if they could repeat, they can defend this title, then Giannis starts to jump into that, we gave Kawhi his title simply for slaying dragons. Kawhi's never put up ridiculous numbers. He's never been a 27-point scorer. He's never won league MVP 2 times. Giannis has everything, every accolade you can want in his pocket already. All-star MVP, MVP of the league, defensive player of the league, NBA champion, NBA MVP. Now, if he starts talking dynasty, we got to start looking at this man into that conversation that we are so ready to put Kevin Durant in, and that we all willingly put Kawhi Leonard in, and that, we got to start talking about that. So I want to see what happens next year. I'm really interested in what happens next year for Giannis.
Me too, man. Shout out to the Bucks, though. I'm really happy for them. Really am.
Same here. So we're going to take a break from this. We'll be back with our football segment. It's been 3 the hallway, y'all.